who gets rejected based on no practical experience or because others have a strong LinkedIn personal brand and you don't? Your coaching institute will hate me for doing this, but I welcome you to Code to Career 30 Days Challenge, where I have chosen these 5 total strangers out of my LinkedIn contacts and have taken up the challenge to help them go from jobless or underpaid to well paid job, that too without additional degrees and certifications in the next 30 days. If you are a coder and wants to get a well paid job, this is your golden chance to experience real project implementation from scratch that gets you a well paid job and builds your LinkedIn personal brand and also resume for absolutely free. So why just watch? Get into our WhatsApp community to experience this. Link is in the description. Now let's get started.
So how was the journey with right from the requirements, then the essay writing, elaboration of the requirements, then use case diagrams, using CRC technique and coming up with structures, or more or less I should say files, then the sequence diagram so that you know which functions, which function to call, which function to be there in which file. So how is that? So before that, why is that people are very silent? Because the coding season has come, like summer season, very hot. Because ultimately it's the code that runs, right? All the diagrams, all the hand waving, all the things that we talk about, this thing, that thing, everything finally boils down to code. And our famous interviewer will always ask like, okay, implement that function, implement this function. If that is the requirement, how will you do it? And all those things. So how are the things? Amrut, Chaitanya, Anirudh.
It was good, sir.
Yeah,
It's a
so
new thing for, it's a, as a fresher, it's a new thing for me as a writing. I was not familiar with getting, making requirements, converting into essay for making a use case diagrams and sequential diagrams. So it was a bit of good, was a wonderful journey. It was till now.
okay, good.
Something new which I was not familiar in my college college time and after the college, but slowly my thinking also getting good about my brainstorming is also getting good. I'm trying to think on that level. I'm trying to getting started to think as the requirements. So it is a great learning for me till now, till the last session. It was good for me.
Great, nice to hear that. This is a process that most of the people who are also experienced, they are not aware of this. They would have heard, they would have seen the end product of this process, but they would not have traveled this process. So how are people with respect to the coding thing, the JSON parser or any HTTP server that you have picked up? Were you able to tie the JSON parser with the HTTP code? Raghavendra, Amrut, Chaitanya, if possible, please do come on cameras.
I started the other way around. Like first I wanted to implement UART.
You are,
So,
okay, great.
So I thought I'll do the before part, like later it will be sent. So first I wanted to just emulate the UART. So I started with that.
So
Uh,
how did you emulate any of the parameters or just reading a file, writing a file?
no, I just wrote like the UART read and UART send two files, and then uh, Actually, I'm still. I was just reading. I didn't get actually a lot of time, but yeah, I was just transmit and receive that only that part. I didn't try to do it any file and I just did the int transfer. That's it. Didn't do much.
So in the UART read, what is the specific functionality of UART read?
Why you just do an infinite value.
Uh,
So you check for if there is a start bit or 0.
mm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's on that. Yeah, and then you try to read that, but one second. Yeah, you are that sign. I just declared uh yeah you declare a string copy a buffer
Mm.
and so that to store in that whenever you receive it.
Mm.
Yeah, and then yeah I just print that out. That's it. You declare the border if that's
Yeah, I think those are all control register specific. So if you are printing also, I think that is good enough.
yeah. I'm still facing some error. I'm not sure. I was able to I did this even on hardware first. So because I was familiar with that, like actually trying to like I could see the LED up and down, but emulating it because I'm little bit away from C code, so I'm trying to do that.
So earlier, where did you try that? See the.
Arduino.
So Arduino has some API to do that IO operation, right? That UART operation.
Yeah, it's serial.write and
Ah.
serial.read. That's all, and it will be in a while. That's it. So yeah, it's as simple as that. You just load two scripts in each of the Arduino. You just send from one Arduino to other. That's it.
So you
Again,
you did that.
yeah.
Okay. So
So there
what
were
was the difficulty
actually
of transferring that thing to C that without Arduino? What was the challenge?
first thing is I was dealing with basically characters and writing this what do you call unsigned integer or like the specifically dealing with
Mm.
arrays. I
Mm.
guess yeah. I'm missing something. It's just that I need to clear up the code. I just did the basic setup. So yeah, that's all.
This is with the read or the write functionality.
Uh, read. Sorry. Yeah, read function.
So you are assuming that the input to the read function would be what, a character pointer?
Yeah. I just no. I'm right now in unsigned integer. I just did integer buffer. I didn't still do the correct. I'm getting an integer. I'm storing that in a character buffer. Yes, as a character.
You are getting
And
an
then
integer, like for example, you get 10, then you will store 10/0.
yeah, I can just quickly share maybe just a basic. Um,
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one on one call with me. Link is in the description.
this is visible, right?
Yeah, it is coming up.
Yeah, basic. This much. That's it. I'm still trying to figure out how I'll emulate this. But yeah.
Okay.
But the Arduino version I can share. Based on that. Yeah. Yeah, basically the only learning was that how do I simulate it? That part was a little bit sketchy. That's all. Still stuck there a little bit. So I just open that. My computer's a bit slow. Just bear with me. Yeah, so this is basically, I was just trying to do this basically is your write function, whatever. You send it over UART, right? So println just does it over UART.
Okay.
Read will be that's what. So you keep a infinite loop. When something is received, like check for that content. The read. This is as simple as just directly check a single character, and then I'm just checking if it's one. Then this part is yeah, basically up or higher. That's it. This is as simple as it is.
So tomorrow you will merge these two pieces of code, right?
Yes, yes. That's what I was trying to do here, but try to see. But let me see. I'll give it up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the update on my end.
Yeah, fine. Great. So anyone has any other implementation that
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one on one call with me. Link is in the description.
maybe you also decide that, okay, let me first sort out the UART part, which is the output thing, or you say that, okay, let me finish up the middleware only, or somebody started with application. Like, what are the thoughts that you got? Because ultimately we all know that the code has to go through, the code has to be implemented. So Chaitanya, Anirudh, or Viresh, Sagar, where did you start? How did you start? Or where you thought that, okay, let me start like this, but you felt something not really going and you are ping-ponging between some thoughts. Because in this session, if we sort out some things, then I'm going to, at the last part of this thing, I'm going to showcase some very, I should say, very mock-up kind of thing, where you don't have to go and implement so many things. You just need to have JSON parser and just you need to have a hard-coded entity and you are good to go. Then whatever the UART implementation you are thinking, if you do that, you should be able to test the code very, very quickly. So where are you? How did you start, or in what manner you still have the idea that I need to start? Or where is that you are stuck up? Viresh. Viresh, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so where are you stuck up?
Sir, I need to start, sir, because due to our interview and like that, I have missed something. So I need to start something.
Okay, fine. Anirudh, were you able to start?
Yes, sir, I am able to understand the code about the that you have shared that JSON parser. And again, I did sequence diagrams. That one sequence diagram I did, but I'm not sure about that. I want to get review from you.
Okay.
And one more thing, the HTTP code I need to understand.
Okay, today I will show you something wherein you can implement in less than 50 to 60 lines this whole project. Just that you will go with a lot of hard coding. And JSON parser is actually, it parses the JSON data. So I was actually of the intention to help you people understand that there is this kind of JSON format that exists. And when the information gets received from the thermostat, whatever is the state, the profile or any information, if it comes in a JSON format, how will you understand the content? So it's in the reverse direction, that when the data comes to you, that JSON parser actually comes into existence. But in the two path where you have the information being provided by the user, you can actually hard code and send it. When I say hard code, you can actually create a JSON payload all by yourself, a handwritten, and then you can send it. Because creating a JSON data format as such, you don't have to worry so much, because you know very well that I hardly will get from user these set of comments, and these set of comments, the values can be anything. So you can always plug and play those numbers and then send it through the UART. The thing is that before sending to UART, the not sandwiching, the using of the JSON data as a payload to HTTP header packet is the only thing that if you know how to do it, you are left with as.
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description.
Amrit has rightly pointed out, the last thing would be the UART implementation. So where are you? Can we have that understanding, like where you are, so that other people can add and we all can benefit with each other's understanding. Like you have seen how he was able to do, Amrit was able to do from one Arduino board to another Arduino board, and he was able to control the LED and all those things. So Chaitanya, were you able to start? Hello? Your voice is not audible. So Sagar.
Hi, Vamsi.
Yeah, hi. So were you able to start?
No, I was not able to start the actual implementation yet.
Okay.
Uh,
So where were you stuck?
I'm still stuck at the code review part of the web server because
Okay.
JSON we will be web server. I'm thinking of to implement it by myself. That's where I'm and understanding the whole.
Okay. Understood. Ananda, where were you actually? Where are you now? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, so where are you stuck?
Yes, sir. These
How much were you able to progress?
up to the HTTP basic concept and JSON parsing concept. JSON parsing concept I have to go through now. So HTTP concept I completed. Yeah, yet to start the coding.
Okay. So more or less people are still in the beginning only, and we have after this week we have one more week. So in the last, I'm pretty much sure that if you really write a program which goes for, let us say, some 250 lines to 300 lines of code, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, we should be able to really reach to a very decent extent. Nevertheless, here is the very simplest idea that I want to give. Let me share my screen. This is a perspective that I want you to have before writing the code, so that you will leverage some C library functions, and you will also understand that how can I structure my code so that when I hand over from one part of the code to another part of the code, which are the functions that I can reuse again from the C library. In the sense that, yeah, in the sense that you can also understand that if my HTTP server is supposed to receive the JSON packet, then what could be the what I believe should be the prototype of the function which reads JSON data. For example, HTTP underscore read underscore JSON underscore data. So what is the parameter? So the simplest observation that you can have is this.
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one on one call with me. Link is in the description.
Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we cannot have control on the user, or in other ways, we should be enabling the user to input either an integer value. For example, when he wants to control some temperature, some pressure, whatever. When we add the authentication step, so we should be able to allow user to type strings, because username, password, and all those things. Let us say we go with a very small requirements saying that every user is an admin and the password is also admin, but still that's a string. Let us say we also put a restriction saying that you have the password, but the password should not have any special characters. So we are trying to minimize the playground or the area under which we want to operate. Not because we want to restrict the user, but we want to get that first kind of code which accepts the user input. So I will restrict myself saying that int and then string, because from using a to I or other functions, from integer to, there are popular pieces of code that help people to convert integer into a string, and there are functions which convert string to an integer. So we want to leverage which is already there for us. Now, if that is the user input now, let us assume that in the mobile device or whatever, the user enters the information. The JSON data at the end of the day, if you have gone through the code and understood, it is an array of characters. The JSON data at the end of the day is array of characters, wherein each of the fields of the JSON data also are small strings. In case if you want to make it more simple, you say that even if the user is giving an int also, I will convert it into a string and I will put it. So what essentially happens is between your open brace and between your close brace, which is the JSON format, it is a string. So now what is this whole problem boiling down to? You have certain value given by the user. You just have to plug in into a string. You can make now the string length as per your convenience. So start very, very small. Write that small piece of code which tells that I am transmitting maybe 30 degrees, 40 degrees. So the packet would be very small, saying that there is one field called temp, colon, and then value of the temp. That's it. JSON data, this is the key and this is the value. Because JSON data, if you are studied, it's all key value pairs. You have another string, I mean not string, you have the open brace and the close brace. And this is all string. Now what is happening here? This is something similar to sprintf, wherein this is also fixed. You just have to fill this place. Clear? It's a hard-coded JSON data only. You are not taking a blank slate where you malloc certain amount of characters because you know that these many fields are there and then you do a malloc. Nothing of that sort. There is a string already available to you. You just have to plug in this value. And while plugging, if it is an integer, you convert it to a string and just plug in. So ultimately what happens is you have one glorified string, which contains now the value that is entered by the user. Clear so far? One hard
Just a quick
coding.
question.
Yeah.
So the JSON is actually a dictionary, right? Or can you term that as array?
JSON is what?
As a dictionary, right? Like it's a open brace, flower brackets. So, or
It depends on the, maybe if you are a Python guy, maybe it's a dictionary for you.
Right. Okay. I'm just trying to visualize when you said you're not doing a file operation here. You'll be doing the entire thing as a character operation. Sorry, string operation.
JSON data actually is a glorified string. It's a string only. Even if you put it, even if you use using a language like Python, where there are other primitive data types like dictionary or whatever tuples, I'm not so much aware of. But when it goes outside the JSON data, it's a string only. Maybe in Python, it would be coming under a class string, which might be embedding whatever you are showing, whatever you are telling the dictionary type kind of data type, right? It can embed it. But when I have to parse as such, it is actually a string. That's the advantage actually of JSON, because string manipulation, string understanding, parsing strings are a very, very old technology. It's a very, very old technology, and most of the language libraries, even for embedded or complex systems and all those things, they have certain APIs and certain libraries which does very, very good string operations. Because whenever the computing thing has started, it was all about from hex values. When people invented ASCII characters, when characters were getting typed on the screen, it was all about strings. So if you go and Google, you will find out that JSON format ultimately is a very big string.
Okay.
And it is understood like that. The internal fields you can have an implementation wherein you can see as some part of the string as, because there is a data type already in Python as you said, dictionary. But as such, when the JSON is actually going outside, it is treated as a string.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So here is one string that is now done for you. Now, what is the next thing? This string has to be embedded into another string. Okay, even let us suppose it's not string.
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description.
Let us not think it as a string, but I would say the open brace is a character. If I want to print it on the screen, if I have to use C language, I would use %C and I can print the value. And this quote $, even if I put in a switch case, it is a valid number because all are ASCII values only. So let us understand, even though we don't want to really call it as a string, but it is an array of characters. Let us leave the string terminology aside. All are characters and I can put it in an array. Simple to understand. Just that when I put a null character, it becomes a string. The reason why I was repeatedly saying string is that by virtue of adding that null character, you can make use of the string library that is present for you. That's the only advantage. Where you are clear that, yeah, I can do string operation, string length, and all those things. Is this point clear to all of you?
Yep.
So wherever you see that string, understand that, okay, it's an array of characters. Just that there is no null character, because ultimately I am placing everything in a character. Sorry, in an array, it's a character array. Now, remove this string now. Remove the string terminology. Now, HTTP packet also, which I told, where I told about HTTP header. Which tells that carriage return, line feed, then you have data, then you have HTTP protocol version, then you have content type, length of the content, all those things also, if I see, they are also again characters. For that matter, everything is a character. Now let me say that I have a very big character array. So big that I can start plugging in the HTTP header, character by character. Character by character, I am starting to print or place HTTP header ka jo values one by one. Then there is one part after which I say that my header is done. I have plugged in all the characters that constitute the header of the HTTP. Then I have a carriage return, line feed. Then I have another carriage return, another line feed. How many of you remember that? I showed that header, then it has carriage return line feed, and there is another carriage return right feed. From here, the data starts. Now, what is our understanding and agreement? Data is also a big character array. All the information that is there in the JSON payload, open brace, close brace. Between this is the packet, which are all characters. Now, what should I do? Now, see, even if it is an array operation, forget about string. I have one index which runs through the size of the array. Once I see that the last character is line feed. And how do I see that? I see that is the previous character carriage return? Is the previous character line feed? Is the previous character carriage return? Oh, it means my header is now done. Simple understanding. In C, we can do very simple. It's only comparison. If is equal to single quote, C language understands it. It's a character check only. If array of I is so and so, I plus 1 is so and so, and I plus 2 is this, and I plus 3 is this, I will set a flag saying that header done, header completed. So I'll say if header done, whatever is this characters, the array of these characters, I will start copying blindly. Why? I assume that the JSON code would have already faithfully done everything for me. Now, let us say I want to take the advantage of string operations. I will say, boss, put a null character here. Now you put this, pass this character pointer, get a pointer to this, and then pass it to string length. Will you not get the size of the complete header with data? HTTP done. Either you go from a mindset of treating it as a string or treating it as an array of characters, you are always at advantage. Because what is happening is you are doing character by character operation. Make sense now? Now see the advantage. You take any serial port. Serial port will have a data register which expects that you put a character there. Then it will have some control register which will where you will say that this is the interrupt or whatever, the control register, baud rate, all those stuff. You configure that. You put one by one character here and send it outside. So what is finally this code is doing? Removing the big things like, okay, I'm talking about JSON, I'm talking about HTTP. Forget about all the things. Your simple C code can be one character array being sent to outside, which is what we have seen that serial dot out or something was written there in Arduino, right? We are literally doing that operation. Now, when I say JSON data or HTTP, it is only an interpretation of certain collection of characters that I am giving.
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well-paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description.
For example, let us talk about carriage return and line feed. This is just one character. This is just one character. I can put it in this. I'll say, boss, now transmit, and it transmits. It is the problem or the responsibility of the receiver to really collect all those characters and then do it. What? The reverse operation. Is this making sense? I'm intentionally going very, very slow so that you really put it in your mind that, okay, this is ultimately an array of characters. If you are good with arrays concept and arrays which are now holding only characters, that's a character array. And in my code, if I just declare char and I say capital A or whatever JSON data and something, and I say that, okay, what is the maximum size of HTTP header? Let us say it is taking some 28 bytes or 30 bytes. What is the maximum amount of memory or characters I need from JSON data? Fix that array of 20 characters. Put array of 60 or 70 as a safety measure. Anyways, you know that to get the number of characters before sending it, let us say you put a \0 and use a string length and you say that, oh, this is the length of the array. So I will also send in the last 2 bytes or something the length of the array. Because it's software, right? Ultimately, you can put certain restrictions and certain kind of intelligence, saying that when the receiver receives, the receiver will directly go to the last 2 bytes or whatever, and will say that this is an array of 50 characters. Then again, put an index, start reading one by one character. Simplest operation, whatever you are reading, just to dump it. It will not make any sense. But at least now you are convinced that whatever the character array I have started with is the same character array, in the sense the JSON data is the same character array I am able to see inside this big another character array. Clear? This is simplest C program which will go in less than 50 to 60 lines, because you have to declare a character array and start populating it. So what you require is to populate and understand, like, after what time I want to put data. For the first time when I am putting the data, after how many characters I have to put my 20. It's a character array. Let us say you hard code JSON data. Let us say JSON data, and you say some size. You even don't mention the size, but in the array you start writing one by one character. Make the JSON data as minimal as possible. A, comma, B, comma, characters. You can declare. So your JSON data is hard coded. But you know that after 5th character or after 6th character, which is temp colon, because the colon is also one of the characters which is there in the array. You compare if this array of I, when it comes to that index, is equal to colon, then you read a global value of int whatever. Split it into characters and put that characters here. Done. Your JSON data is done. You say JSON data completed is equal to true, come out. Now go to the next function. Concatenate HTTP header and JSON data. Now fix the HTTP header also. Again, another char array. Let us say char array H. And some size. Even you don't care about the size. You just write it. Later we can get the size of. But in the last 2 places, you put carriage return line feed, carriage return line feed. This is your header hard coded. That content type is JSON. Everything is hard coded. This is a hard coded string for you. Now concatenate these 2 character arrays. How? Again a big for loop. That's it, right? Again, a big for loop wherein I go till this here, storing one by one character in another big array. Once I reach to this and condition, I start reading this array. And this is one of the famous interviews question that anybody who does some geeks for geek stuff and all those things, they are saying that join two arrays, split two arrays. You would have heard of this kind of code, right? That's it. Now you are done with all these things. Focus on now your driver code and put one by one character into this. Send it outside. No, even that is not possible as he has written, right? Print statement. So give it to a function like uart underscore read and give this pointer to this array and start reading and dumping all the things. It will definitely work, but at least you know that I'm able to successfully concatenate two strings. Okay, not strings, two character arrays. Is this achievable? For how many people now is this project?
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description.
Looking really complex because it's ultimately having a character array plus another character array. It's like when people say that when the data flows on a wire, what you can see is only pulses, ones and zeros. Ultimately on the wire, it's ones and zeros. So what I am saying is, okay, if that is so valid, when somebody says that the data on a wire is ultimately ones and zeros, I'm saying, let us go one level below, or sorry, one level above at a higher level language, a bit more above hex code representation or something, and let us take 8 bits, talk in terms of characters, and keep on adding characters, character by character, character by character. So that once this is done right, now start interpreting groups or clusters of characters. Now what we are doing, one character, one character, one character. Now start interpreting clusters of characters. Oh, okay, this is carriage return, single character, but understand that this is completely content type. Is this making sense? We are going from the bottom. The simplest understanding of bits, everybody knows. So what I started was to tell you that at the middle, interpret it as an array of characters. So which agrees with the lowest level that we have bits, ones and zeros. So if ones and zeros are meaningful for you to think that they are going on wire, at a C language level, concatenation of two character arrays should be also make sense. Now go further, understand HTTP packet in the sense how a HTTP header is and all those things. Understand how a JSON format is, which is a collection of all characters only. But now start giving bigger meanings to this. So what I gave is a very simple example, like we have alphabet, we have words, we have passages, we have lessons. If you read a textbook character by character, it does not make any sense. Do you agree? Because your mind instantly picks up patterns of words, letters, and gives a meaning to it. The moment I see CEAT, now at this age also we say CEAT, that's an elementary stuff. The moment we see the cluster or the grouping of CEAT, we say cat. So what I am saying is, now start giving certain characters saying that, oh, this is the header symbol, or this is so and so. These 4 characters or 16 characters is temp. Making sense now? Start doing this, then start interpretation of these things. And actually, this interpretation will eventually happen. When I say eventually happen, it has to be there. It is just that for your understanding, I have removed that other layers which are abstracting you to understand the lowest order of arrangement, which is array of characters. And I'm saying interpret it like this. But the moment when you start to actually code, right, here you are hard coding. But even when you are hard coding, You have to put it in an array and you have to give it a meaning by yourself. You cannot just say that I am creating an array. Even when you are hard coding, it makes sense to you when you are hard coding. What I am saying is mentally treat it as an array of characters so that your operations are very simple now. You will concentrate more on the for operation and you will see where I am ending, what are the and conditions I have to put and all those things. Then plug in the other things of what if I have to really interpret using an API. Now, these are all API agnostic implementation, if you understand, because I'm only talking about hard-coded arrays joining to arrays. There is no API here. But once you prove this, that this is what is there, go and search for some API which is there in Jasmine parser or your HTTP server or whatever, and choose what is an API that is closer to this. And use that. Now, what you have to do is to modify your interpretation that you got into the parameters that those APIs legally can accept. Done. For example, let us say I say, okay, create HTTP packet. Okay, that's an API. And it takes an array of characters, let us say. But it does all the heavy lifting of understanding and curating each and every piece of header and everything. Finally, return array underscore start, where array underscore start is a pointer. Done. Now you actually got the complete HTTP header. So what has happened now? Somebody has taken from your plate the heavy lifting that you were earlier doing of concatenating the arrays, and they already provided an API for you. Now your C code finally has become this. Very carefully selecting those APIs and calling them in order. How many of you understood this whole process? Type me in the chat box. Because with this, I'm pretty much sure if you watch this recording again, you will very easily implement. And you will travel from the top to the bottom and from bottom to the top very easily. What now you need to add to your knowledge base is that, oh, is this how HTTP packet is present? Is this how the JSON data is represented? That's a knowledge that you acquire and reserve it for interview.
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well-paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description.
But from the code perspective, you are done. The moment you stitch all the APIs, you are done. Remaining exercise would be that whatever the stitching that you are doing and trying to achieve a requirement, now trace it back till the use case diagram. And you yourself feel convinced that whatever the way that I am stitching the functions, is it in line with what is my thought process and how I have come up with that sequence diagram? Now trace back again. Is this sequence diagram really an exact representation or near to exact representation of what the user will do with the system? Use case diagram. Now trace back further and finally you will end up, is this what I wrote as this paragraph 5 in my description of the requirement or what this project is all about? You travel from there to here or here to there, you cannot make mistakes unless and until you really screw up in semantic errors or very horrible logical errors. Otherwise, this process will nail down all the bugs also in the process. Now to this thought process, if you attach test-driven development, right, you will see magic happening. But we will take it up at in the last 3 days, the test-driven development. And it's a very wonderful concept wherein even without having a piece of code, you can write test cases and you will create magic out of it. How is it possible? It is possible, and people are doing great stuff using TDD. So now, with this ground information or with this understanding, how many of you feel or believe that, oh, I'm good at C and I'm good at arrays. By Wednesday, I will get at least a working piece of code. How many of you are confident? Type me in the chat box. Let me see how many of you are confident. Because it boils down to now only array operations. Do not say that I'm hearing array for the first time and I don't know array. That can never happen. What about the rest of people? Why are you so skeptical still now? Ajay, you have put, okay. Who has not put? Viresh? Viresh has not put. See, now this will not even take more of time also. It will take more time? No. You just have to pick up in from Google. You just have to pick up that code which is concatenating two arrays. That's it. Give a meaning of JSON data to one array. Give meaning of HTTP header to another. And try to have a bigger array where you put all these two boxes. Done. What if you get a boilerplate code for this? Do you want a boilerplate code for this? Amrut says no. How many of you want? Okay, give me some template code that I will do. Okay, Sagar says no. I appreciate that. Anirudh is thinking, if you give, I will not say no. I don't want it, but if you give, I am a nice person that I will not say no. So in the resources folder, you will find one document. So you can go and look at the document. There, I did not think it as a array of characters, but I thought it as a string and I used the string operations. So you will see two APIs, two header files being included, stdio and string.h. And this is a HTTP header implementation, because if you go and search for any HTTP server implementation and all those things, most people take the idea of actual server, right? Because they take the actual server thing and they use some Linux functionality, inbuilt functionality of socket and all those things as a proper server and do it. That extra twist of really making this HTTP header code into a server, you can attach it later. But first get the HTTP header and data glued together. Then you give it the code a spin of a socket or whatever, fork, system calls, and all those things. Making sense? So this code, once whatever is there in the document, if you see, you can attach it or you can enhance it using any commonly available HTTP server code developed using fork, system call, socket APIs, and all those things. You just need to add some more header files. Then comfortably you can compile this file, which is there in the Word document, with your socket enhancements and all those things on Linux. And you can literally see, if you run another process and you send it through to pipe or something, some data, you will see that this is happening. The whole operation will happen. And JSON code as such, if you go and look at jasmine.h, right? And you go to example folder in jasmine.h, simple underscore example and all those things. They can be run directly on Linux environment. You just make, it will create simple underscore example, run simple underscore example. It will show you how the complete Jasmine parser is working. But anyways, that's a written path, if you understand, because we are parsing the JSON data. We are not fabricating the JSON data. Clear? So let me also show you that code which was written.
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one on one call with me. Link is in the description.
That's it. I assumed here because this is a HTTP code, or precisely to tell you, HTTP header code. And you see, it's already a char array. And I am assuming that it receives a JSON data. So I have also hard-coded the JSON data. And I am passing that JSON data array or pointer because it is accepting a pointer. And then I hard-coded the HTTP header, where the final data string length of that and the JSON data goes to this LU and S. What did I use? SN printf. What did I include? String.h. Actually, this is the requirement. Done. We are done. This is short answer question. In your interviews, if you give short answer question, they will show you shortcut to the door outside. You give long form of question and you discuss more, talk more and all those things. You are more and more and more into the company. Clear? This is purely hard coding, right? Whatever I told. Just that I am treating it now as a string. Why? As I told, I am making use of the string functions, which is like SN printf. What I told you is treating itself as an array of characters so that it is more easy for you to use that for loop. Making sense?
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well-paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description.
Clear? So now how many of you to this simplest code add few more layers of JSON data in the reverse path? Now I'm asking in the reverse path, assuming that the smart thermostat has actually sent you through HTTP only, and you have received that HTTP. Assume that you have stripped off everything in the HTTP and you got that JSON data. Now, how many of you can assume that this is a reverse path and plug in the JSON code or Jasmine code? How many of you can do that? Silence. You just have to look at simple underscore example. Okay, Ajay, Subhankar, Aditya, Raghavendra, Amrut. Just look at simple underscore example in example folder of Jasmine.h. I mean Jasmine folder. You will understand how to do it. Yeah. No, you need to give it a try. That see at the max, you liberally use printfs and see where you are going wrong. Or you use any Eclipse IDE or any IDE, because it is ultimately whatever you debug will be a C code only. Put the breakpoints, do all the stuff. Online GDB also you can do this in a single file. Yeah. Because if you see that recording, I think the Jasmine parser I have explained in online GDB only, right? If I remember, everything I have copied as in a single file in one file only in online GDB, and I was able to execute and I saw the output. Yeah, treat it as all one file and do it. But let me tell you, if you get these kind of things, you will be missing the real, what should I say, real enjoyment of creating a product or creating the code from scratch and going to that header file. Oh, this file, this header file, this C file, this header file, this C file. This is how I will send to it. But first get these things done, and then you will get a feeling that, okay, something has been achieved and I understand what is happening. Then you go to the higher constructs of splitting these functions and putting it in individual files. Call one by one, try to see which can be exposed, which can be made as a static function, all those stuff. Any questions? Any questions? Sagar, Chaitanya, Ananda, anyone? Anirudh, Raghavendra, Aditya, Shubhankar, Ajay, Viresh, Amrut.
This might be very basic, but when you said that you would be running only one CFA?
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one on one call with me. Link is in the description.
Which look?
You said write the whole thing in one C file, right? Like you would have to separate HTTP server or like separate like independently you have to run.
Because in online GDB, I think because I was talking specifically for online GDB. In online
Okay.
GDB, you don't have that multiple files, if I'm not wrong. So that's why
Right.
when I was trying to explain that simple example.c also, right? So I completely copied jasmine.h, then I removed certain things, and then I copied simple example and I compiled in a single shot. But if you are using an IDE, right, you don't have to go through this thing. You create individual files and do it. And that will be actually very good also. So that's why I gave you a very boilerplate code where everything is hard coded. It's not proper.
Right.
It's not at all HTTP server. What I gave you is that there is a string which is taking another string as its input and hiding inside it. That's it. One string being copied inside another string, if you understand. That's the code I have written there. Nothing more than that. So, but when you split, both has to be different. And you can find a code also on GitHub where you will see that how to create a JSON data. When you give certain parameters, right, it will go and create the JSON data. So you can reuse that code and plumb that code to HTTP server and then create that string, reverse loop it, and then use Jasmine parser to parse that, or use that HTTP to read that header, get that JSON data, use Jasmine parser to parse that and get the fields, key value pairs. So when you start from here and take a U-turn and come here, you will have the complete flow. Just that it is inside the same system. But ideally, this will go out, smart thermostat, something, it will send and you will receive another thing. So this is an opportunity wherein you can use the UART driver also. You can think of writing your own driver from scratch. See, I have given this kind of low level explanations to few colleges, to many of my mentees in my past organizations, so many people.
If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well paid job, book a one on one call with me. Link is in the description.
I kept on doing this. The only people who were able to master and go to the higher levels where they were able to fix bugs in the project are only those people who very fastly did a mock-up code, then went back to the theory, understood, and then they started working on the project code. If you are complacent with what is given to you and you don't want to try, let me be very honest, you will stay at where you are. You will be under the illusion that I understood. No. If 1 hour of something being told is enough for somebody to have a very glorious career, that company, that salary and all those things, nobody would have been jobless. And there we would have been having only few recruiters or no recruiters. Because there is nothing like shortlisting of resumes, right? Everybody is capable. All are invited. It's like KSRTC buses, BMTC buses. Just get on the reservation, done. Maybe I should cut this. So how many of you are hopeful that you will get the things done by Wednesday to some extent? I did not get from anyone, everyone. That's why I'm asking again and again. Viresh, I did not get. Anirudh, they are ever smiling, saying that once you give the code, I'll see it. Oh, already you gave the code. Thank you. You need to write code, Anirudh. Okay, then, if there are no questions, then see you all on Wednesday. We will have one review of code from anyone who has implemented. Yeah?
Yeah.
One functionality. Assume one functionality and do it. Send temperature or configure, whatever. Okay? Okay, then bye.
Bye,
Sir,
sir.
after reviewing, what will be the next topic?
Huh?
After reviewing the code, what will be the next topic?
That's the bonus session, right? I'll tell you. You remember the video I put? There's a bonus session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye.